Hi, my name is Alexa Osman, and this is my analysis of Beowulf. Um, it's the oldest surviving epic in the English language, specifically written in Old English, which is the earliest form of the English language. It's unclear when it was exactly written, however, scholars date the manuscript to be from somewhere between the 8th and 11th centuries. But the story itself was circulated orally for hundreds of years before being recorded by an unknown scribe. The poem is a blend of heroic legend, myth, and history, and it captures the values of Germanic warrior culture in a very complex time where pagan traditions and Christian moral teachings were beginning to coexist. The world of Beowulf is shaped by values and beliefs of early Germanic tribes. These beliefs being weird, comitatus, vengeance, and gift giving. Weird, or better known as fate, is a theme that we see constantly throughout Beowulf, and it's the belief that life and death are preordained. Comitatus is the belief that the bond between a lord and his warriors was sacred, and that so long as the lord protected his men, the warriors owed him absolute loyalty, even until death. Vengeance was more than a personal desire for revenge, but a moral duty, and seen as necessary to uphold honor and restore balance. Gift giving, or treasure rather, was more than a display of personal wealth. They symbolize social bonds, gratitude, and the strengthening of alliances. Beowulf offers critical insight into the code of Germanic heroism, a system based on loyalty, strength, and reputation. It captures the ethos of a war society on the brink of change as Christian values began to seep into old pagan traditions. The hero's quest, Beowulf's quest for fame and glory, reflects an ancient world where survival depended on strength, loyalty, and reputation. Again, we see these values echoed. At the same time, this poem foreshadows new ideas, these ideas being reflections on mortality, humility before God, and the inevitable decay of mortal achievements. And in exploring recurring human themes such as the desire to be remembered, the need for stable leaders, chaos, and the fine line between good and evil, we discover that these themes resonate across time and a lot of cultures. We start with one of the most central themes in Beowulf, which is the desire to be remembered, which is a reflection of the Germanic emphasis on legacy and reputation. In a warrior culture, a hero's worth is measured not just by his deeds, but how these deeds are remembered. Germanic belief that life beyond death is by maintaining one's reputation through their actions. The importance of reputation was central in Germanic societies where warriors were defined by their deeds, and this is reflected in the poem's numerous speeches about the lasting value of heroism. A need for strong leadership was another critical theme in Beowulf. Throughout the poem, and historically, warriors always looked to their leaders for protection. In Beowulf, these leaders being Hrothgar, Beowulf, and eventually Wiglaf, to protect them from evil forces of chaos. However, in Germanic worldview, leaders provided more than protection, but also social order and stability. Next, we have chaos versus order, which is another central theme in Beowulf. This denotes the tension between chaos and order, which is symbolized by the monsters Beowulf faces, Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon. These creatures represent forces of disorder that threaten the stability of the human world. And Beowulf's battles against these monsters are not merely physical confrontations. They are symbolic of the struggle between civilization and the wild, or between chaos and order. The hero's role is to restore balance, ensuring that the forces of chaos do not overwhelm the tribe. So Beowulf's victories ensure the restoration of balance and the stifling of this chaos. Next, we have good versus evil, which the theme of the fine line between good and evil is explored throughout Beowulf, especially through its depiction of the monsters and the hero's actions. Grendel's mother, and the dragons are evil creatures. However, they embody more complex characteristics that blur the lines between chaos and order, and evil and necessity. Beowulf himself is a hero who constantly operates on the edge of this line, and his actions in fighting Grendel, his mother, and the dragon are driven by honor and the need to protect his people, but they also involve significant violence, which can complicate the notion of what constitutes as true goodness. Beowulf's own actions, particularly his pursuit of fame and glory, show that even the most noble of heroes can become entangled in the complexities of self-interest. Beowulf follows the life story of a hero through 3 great battles, and each fight symbolizes a different stage of life and a different encounter with the forces of chaos, which are all deeply tied to Germanic mythological values. The first battle is with Grendel, a creature descended from Cain. The second battle is between Beowulf and Grendel's mother when she seeks vengeance. And the third and final battle is between Beowulf and a dragon. In all 3 of these battles, Beowulf's actions reflect core Germanic values such as weird or fate, reputation, vengeance, and comitatus. Each battle illustrates a different facet of the Germanic warrior code. This code being the young hero fighting to prove his worth, the mature warrior seeking to uphold justice and honor, and the aging king accepting his fate while securing his legacy. Through these battles, Beowulf's journey mirrors the eternal struggle between order, chaos, and life and death. The heroic individual versus the dark forces threatening civilization. And his story ultimately underscores the belief that a hero's true value is not found in avoiding death, but in facing it with courage, ensuring that his legacy lives on through fame and remembrance. The impact of Beowulf transcends time, and the poem has had a profound effect on modern literature. The poem's themes of heroism, fate, revenge, and the battle between good and evil resonate in literature today, and many of these themes have been adapted, reimagined, and incorporated into much modern narratives, especially in fantasy literature. The heroic code depicted in Beowulf, with its focus specifically on bravery, loyalty, and fame, can be seen in the works of authors like J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin, both authors being deeply influenced by the structure and themes of Beowulf, using similar heroic characters in epic battles. Tolkien, in particular, was inspired by Beowulf when creating the world of Middle-earth in The Lord of the Rings, and we see direct parallels in Tolkien's work when comparing it to Beowulf, when comparing monsters such as Grendel to Smaug the dragon and the orcish herds. The hero's journey, in Tolkien's work also mirrors the structure of Beowulf, with the protagonist and his companions undergoing a perilous quest to defeat what is presumed to be a great evil. Similarly, George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, later adapted into Game of Thrones, draws on the themes of power, loyalty, and revenge that run all throughout the poem of Beowulf. The character of Ned Stark, with his sense of honor and duty, is similar to Beowulf in his commitment to leadership and justice, even in the face of personal cost. Thank you for watching. This is my works cited, and yeah. What?